Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Tuesday, April 16th, 2013. Google continues to release more information in anticipation of their Glass Explorer program. Join us now to tell us more about the Google Glass effort is SiliconANGLE contributing editor John Casaretto. Good morning, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Along with yesterday's Glass API release, Google has officially announced specs for the Glass Explorer editions. So, John, we're very interested in hearing about the official specs, but more importantly, we want to know how these specs compare to top-of-the-line smartphones and tablet devices that are currently on the market. So can you take some time and break down the main features of the device for us?
Yeah, absolutely. The glasses have got a 5 megapixel camera for photos, but it films in 720p. So what you'll see feature per feature here is that this doesn't really line up with like cutting edge phones, and those are like 8 megapixels and they film in high res and all that. And it definitely doesn't have the same kind of space. It's a smaller form factor, so it's something that's still developing, and it's really made for a different use. But the glasses, they've got 12 gigs of usable memory, 16 gigs of flash memory overall. The memory is synced with Google's cloud storage. Glasses are supported by Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but not by 3G at this point. They're compatible with any Bluetooth supported phone. So you got a number of things there, and you've got it's also synchronized with the My Glass companion app, and therefore it enables GPS, SMS messaging. The battery is expected to last about a day during typical use. One detail we don't have yet is what the end of price will be, or many details about when it'll be available to consumers and so on. But very interesting specs all across the board.
Now, given that the specs aren't necessarily as up to date as some of the specs that we're seeing in the top-of-the-line smartphones, but the price point, which we've talked about somewhere around $1,500, is obviously more than leading-edge phones right now. Do you think that consumers are going to be hesitant to explore Google Glass because of those two reasons?
Well, we're still a ways out before this really hits the consumers, but we could probably expect a high price tag. I think what the premium here really is the portability, the miniaturization of the different components that go into this is costly, and you have to expect some things are compromised, but perhaps by the time it hits the consumer market, it would be enough that the usability would be enough that people would be not as interested in some of those cutting edge features, really, that some of these the feature set that it brings forward is going to be acceptable in that form factor.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about the newly released Glass API?
Well, it's a developer preview of the Mirror API. It's for those developers that are out there and they're looking to just get started with developing apps for the Glass ecosystem. It basically allows you to build the web-based services that's called Glassware that interact with the Google Glass device, and it also has no requirement of running actual code on the glass. So there's a cloud-based API that's integrated into it, and it's out there. It's a bit early, but it's something that we'll see what kind of adoption really starts to take place. If people start coming out with some apps pretty quickly, I think there'll be a lot of interest.
The My Glass companion app has gone live in the Google Play Store. What can you tell us about that app? What's it going to be used for in conjunction with Google Glass?
Well, yeah, the main features are that it enables the GPS, the SMS messaging, and the integration of all those things. It shows off a bunch of the app's functionality and the functionality of the actual Google glasses. It uses the signature card UI. So again, it's a companion app, and it helps integrate your world that you take in and you communicate through the glasses, to your Android device or computer or whatever it is.
Now, can Google Play Store users download the app even if they don't have Google Glass?
Yeah, you can install the app, but obviously without the glasses, it's something that it's not going to really do you any good. So I think Google said that downloading it would be a waste of time, but you're welcome to install it and take a look at it. but it's made specifically to interact with the glasses.
Thus far, what do the inner workings of the app reveal about Google Glass functionality?
So what it does is it gives us a peek into all the features that we know about regarding the glasses, the video aspect, how that's laid out, how it's going to, integrate those things into the application, the pictures. Gives you things like the device location, things where you may have been, the Google Plus integration, Gmail, all of those things. How you check in with that and look at what happened throughout the day, perhaps planning, perhaps your calendar, that kind of thing. So what we've seen so far as the application goes is really a picture of all of those things and how that integrates with your world.
Google has also launched their Glass Setup page, a site to assist Glass users with the setup of their Glass unit, which is connected to their Google account. What else is on the Glass Setup page that developers in particular might find of interest?
Well, namely, that the interface is pretty consistent with the app. It's a horizontal type layout. It guides users through the setup process, and it does so in a way that's really easy to understand. It's even got a QR code for the sync aspect of it. The focus is to maintain that experience in all aspects of the product, and it appears that they're doing that same type of user experience focus and bringing that into the different applications across the board.
With these recent platforms being launched to support the Google interface, why do you think Google hasn't announced an official release date for Glass as of yet?
Well, again, we are in a developer preview state. I think there's a lot really yet to be determined. There's no word on public availability yet, but there's speculation that says that they're going to be releasing these specs to the public and releasing the product to the public, and it'll be within the year. So again, we're in this phase where there's going to be a lot of rampant development, and there might be a different generation by the time that the things actually hit the street. We might be talking about some very bleeding edge specs at that point, or at least comparable to what we see in smartphones today as far as bleeding edge.
Earlier, we talked about the specifications of Glass. At this point, do you think it's the small form factor that is limiting the expansion of what Glass is actually capable of, or do you think that they're just kind of waiting for rollouts of Glass in the future?
I think that they're really bringing everything that they is available that they can ideally bring to this product initially. They certainly want it to be a success. You would want to develop with something with a future focus and a future basis of what that baseline hardware level and the specs are going to be. Because it just saves a lot of time as far as development goes. So I would have to say that this right now. The product that we're looking at is a very bleeding edge product from that regard, and it's just really what's possible at this point in terms of what they can cram into that form factor. But again, it's something that we may see that evolve and increase in terms of certain specs, in terms of usable memory, in terms of 3G connectivity. Which may end up being, or 4G connectivity may end up being a component that's actually built into the glasses at some point. Because as of right now, as I mentioned, it's got the Wi-Fi, it's got the Bluetooth connectivity, but it would be, way more valuable if you can integrate it, widespread, wherever you go and get a subscription or whatever.
Well, I know many of our users, of our viewers, are definitely looking forward to the launch of Google Glass. So thank you so much for joining us today, John.
Thank you.
And still to come on SiliconANGLE TV, which country has the fastest internet? And is Twitter experimenting with television? But first, Wikibon co-founder and CTO David Floyer stops by to fill us in on the latest from the OpenStack Summit in Portland.